We recently had a dramatic reminder about how the world keeps changing right under our nose.
And as the world keeps evolving, we need to evolve right along with it.
That's right.
Join us for a quick take on why it's time to reimagine leadership. Episode 424 of Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper.
This episode is brought to you by Business Advancement Incorporated, enabling successful leaders and companies to accelerate to their next level of success. On the web at businessadvance.com. And now, here's Pam and Scott.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Pam Harper, founding partner and CEO of Business Advancement Incorporated. And right along with me, as always, is my business partner and husband, Scott Harper.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you again. And as always, our purpose here is to ignite new insights, inspiration, and immediately useful ideas visionary leaders can use to ignite game-changing innovation, transformation, and growth.
And remember, Growth Igniters Radio is only one of the ways we help top leadership teams ignite game-changing, transformational growth. Curious about how we might help you and your company ignite your own growth? Well, let's talk. Visit businessadvance.com today and schedule a call.
Now, as I hinted at the beginning, Pam and I were just looking at a photo that I took of her at a speakeasy cocktail lounge in New York City. She was sitting in an old-fashioned glass-enclosed phone booth, smiling at me, holding up her iPhone.
Yep, we were having fun that night.
We were, and the irony is inescapable.
And here's the point. Times keep changing, and yet it's easy to overlook how much change there's actually been when we're immersed in what's happening in real time.
Then you get a reminder like this, and it really sinks in.
Now, you probably don't have to work very hard to think of successful companies that were disrupted because they held on to business models that didn't seem to keep up with the times.
And here's the question. Why can this happen? Why can good companies go down even when their leadership is smart and experienced? Could it be that they haven't evolved or they didn't evolve to keep pace with the changing business environment?
Yes, it could.
Okay.
It's natural to keep leading, using best practices for strategy and execution that were designed for a slower paced, more predictable world.
Yeah.
That's the old leadership playbook, yes?
Yes.
It's familiar, it's comfortable, and it worked well enough to last for many decades.
Yeah, but those times are gone. 5-year plans, they're considered long-term.
Mm-hmm.
And think about how much has happened in the world just since 2022 when the last phone booth was removed from New York City. For starters, we have the rise of generative AI, geopolitical upheavals, demographic shifts. The list goes on.
Mm-hmm. And with news cycles and communication being what they are, everything's happening faster than it's ever happened before.
Yeah?
Which makes it more challenging to anticipate significant changes until the change is right on top of you, and then you're playing catch-up. So what do the people we call growth igniters do to break this cycle? They reimagine leadership in a way that enables their companies to keep creating new value in real time, despite the twists and the turns.
Or maybe because of them.
Mm-hmm. So, building on this, here are 3 questions for you and your team to consider about whether you should be reimagining your own leadership in your company.
So let's bring this to life.
Here's the first question. How are we expanding our range of stakeholder relationships? After all, the more dynamic communication you have with many stakeholders, the wider the range of perspectives you gain.
Right.
And of course, that way you're able to keep on top of the trends and the issues earlier on. But the thing is, and we've both seen this, that people can get stuck going to the very same stakeholders for the same information and not even really creating trusting relationships.
And because of this, when this happens, we can have a narrow idea of what's going on and miss some really important issues. The question is, which relationships should you be developing beyond your traditional boundaries? This is dynamic depending upon the situation, of course.
For instance, one of the big lessons I gained from being part of the Association for Corporate Growth New Jersey, I was on their board in the late 2010s, and I found myself developing relationships not just with the CEOs and the C suite executives of the mid market companies, but also CPA firms, attorneys, deal makers, banks, universities, wealth managers.
Oh, all kinds of
Like
people.
there's a scrolling list here.
Yeah, right. Star Wars.
Yes. But what I found that was important is everybody had a unique perspective.
Yeah.
And it was because of this perspective and the very different perspectives that they had that I actually got some early signals about the importance that business innovation was going to take in terms of companies that were going to survive some of the turbulence that was going on at those times, and not just survive, but thrive. And that was very important.
And as the world keeps speeding up, that mandate for finding more people to increase and deepen our perspectives, that's only grown.
And that takes us to the second question.
How well are we able to recognize trends within and beyond our industry in real time?
It used to be SWOT, right?
Yeah, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
That's right. The data-driven snapshot that rapidly fades nowadays. So we're talking about having a constant dynamic stream of communication in many forms. This is what enables us to recognize the early, subtle signals of the significant trends versus, say, the shiny objects.
And this is where that depth and breadth of relationships that we were talking about comes in. It's most effective when you develop trusting relationships as well, not just transactional. When people feel comfortable raising sometimes uncomfortable issues, this can be where the real value comes in.
Absolutely. For example, in the early years of our podcast, we had several conversations with Brian Scudamore, the CEO of O2E Brand. O2E Brands includes companies like 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And Brian talked about how O2E Brands use something that they developed called the huddle. And every day they come together for about 20 minutes and they give updates about what was going on in their different areas. And it takes into account not just what's happening in their own immediate areas in the company, but their interactions with others that impact them and that they impact. And so there was a lot of information that would help them to make adjustments and also to keep going and rethink issues that had to relate to strategy over time.
And as the company continues to grow, they continue to have these huddles. It's a tremendous way of staying in the moment and getting those little signals that can grow into, oh, this is something we need to pay attention to.
Now, we're not suggesting that you have huddles. I mean, that's their thing.
Yeah.
But the idea of coming up with something that's right for you and the way that you get it done, well, no two companies are the same.
So what's our third question, Pam?
The third question is, how well are we integrating our stakeholders' many perspectives? So you ask a lot of people for information or opinions, you get a lot, and they don't all agree at all. We've talked about having all these stakeholders. So now it used to be, at a different time, that you'd be negotiating buy-in. In fact, that I included a section on that in my book, Preventing Strategic Gridlock, different time. But what I've learned since 2003 is that we need to have a much better way to co-create.
Yeah.
Because when you co-create something, everybody owns it. And there can be a lot more motivation for everybody to come up with something that works.
Motivation and commitment. When you make it, you want to keep it going. And because you have all of these different ideas coming together, you can develop a much richer sense of what you need to do and bring it to life. It's the difference between a really tasty jambalaya and mashed potatoes.
Wait a minute, I like mashed potatoes.
Well, okay, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Variety is powerful.
Exactly. Leading conversations where people discover common ground enables them to build upon what's important to them, and that can get you past some of the most critical jams that come up and overcome what I call the orbit of the status quo, where you keep continuing to do the same thing because it's comfortable and you don't move forward for growth. This can get past that.
Good. Well, here we are at the end of our episode. Pam, how about a final thought?
As the world keeps evolving, we all need to keep reimagining our own leadership. Developing meaningful relationships with our many stakeholders inside and outside the company does two things. It expands our perspectives about what's possible, and it ignites the collective energy it takes to move from what you can imagine to a future that really creates new value for the world.
And that's our quick take for today. Thanks to all of you out there for listening to Growth Igniters Radio. And if you're enjoying our conversation, spread the good word. Become a recommender. Open Growth Igniters Radio on whatever podcast app you use, or go to YouTube and search for Growth Igniters Radio video and watch it there and write a review. Feel free to share episodes on your social media.
Until next time, this is Pam Harper
And Scott Harper.
wishing you continued success and leaving you with this question to think about and discuss with your team. How will we all keep reimagining our leadership to ignite growth as the world keeps evolving?
Growth Igniters and Growth Igniters Radio with Pam Harper and Scott Harper are registered service marks of Business Advancement Incorporated. All Growth Igniters Radio episodes are copyrighted productions of Business Advancement Incorporated, intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other uses including copying, editing, redistribution, and publication without prior written consent of Business Advancement Incorporated are prohibited. All rights reserved.